Hello intellectuals, this is MJ with MBJ Knowledge. If you are new to this channel, make sure you subscribe for more content like this. So in our today's tutorial, we have picked to handle some algebraic expressions. As you know that these questions are there in your paper 1. Now most of the people have challenges to identify or to go about the factorization. So the first thing that will help us to factorize will be to know the types of factorizations that are there. Okay, so we'll begin with the difference of two squares. Now how do you identify that these two terms or this expression is a difference of two squares? Only if you've been given two terms. For instance, I can give an example of 2x squared. Okay, 2x squared minus maybe minus a 2. Okay, just an example like that one. So if you see your expression, it has got two terms. For instance, this one, 2x squared, that is the first term, then the negative 2, that is the second term. So if you look at this expression here, what should come in your mind is that these are difference of two squares. So before we go into problems, first of all we need to identify. So we have identified. So one thing you need to find is you will have to be given two terms, and again a minus is needed. So if you've been given a plus, just know that that is not a difference of two squares. You need to have a minus. So always in your question you are given a minus and also the two terms. So this should tell you to say this is a difference of two squares. Okay, so an example is that one over there. So I've given 4x squared minus 16. So if you check, a minus has been used, and again there are only two terms, a 4x squared and a 16. So this one is a difference of two squares, so we can factorize it in that way. Okay, secondly, we'll go to quadratic factorization. Now how do you identify to say this question or this algebraic expression I've been given is a quadratic factorization? Now here you'll be given three terms. Now those three terms, the highest power will be a 2. Okay, so if you've been given three terms and then you check, you find that the highest power is a 3, is a 2, just know that there, that is a quadratic factorization. So like this example here, we have 2x squared and minus x minus 15. We have three terms here. So if you look at the highest power here, this is our highest power and it is a 2. So this one is a quadratic expression. So for you to factorize, you have to use quadratic factorization, and we are going to handle, you'll see how we're going to solve such. Okay, so the last one is grouping factorization, where you are given more than three terms now. So here you have to be given at least 4 terms. When we say at least, it simply means they can be 4 or more than 4 terms. So if you are given in such a case, here you have to start grouping the like terms together. Okay, so at least 4 terms. That is an example there. So if you look at this example here, you have 1, 2, 3 and 4. So if you just look at this, what should come in your mind is this is a grouping factorization. So you need to group the like terms together like that. Okay, so let's jump into our problems so that we can practice what we've learned. So we have 3 types of factorization. That is, okay, so we start with our problems here. So the first problem, let me just demarcate this. Okay, like this. So if you look at the first problem, factorize 32x squared minus 50. How many terms here? Good. There are only 2 terms. And if you recall, we have said if a minus has been used and there are only 2 terms, what should come to your mind is difference of 2 squares. Good. So the way we handle difference of 2 squares, here we will first of all check for what is common. If we come to the letters are not common. The last term here does not have an x. So the x is not common. We'll check for the numbers. So for us to get what is common on the numbers, we will look for a number which will go into 32, the same number going into 50 without leaving a remainder. And what number is that? Okay, good. A 2 can go into 32. Okay, so 2 into 32, you have a 16. And then 2 into negative 50, you have negative 25. Good. So these numbers are the ones that we're going to write in the next step. Okay, so we have a 2 outside, then open brackets. So we have remained with 16x squared minus 25. Now, because this one is a difference of 2 squares, so the way we handle what has remained in the brackets now, we need to expand it. So we'll break down the 16 into index form. It should have a power 2. So we need to look for a number that we can multiply 2 times to get 16. And that number is a 4. So we can write 4 squared. And we need to look for a number that we can use that we can multiply 2 times to get 25, which is a 5. So 5 squared. Okay, so now these we can expand them as difference of 2 squares. Okay, so we're going to have something like this. So we've taken out the powers outside. If you come back to indices, this simply means we've raised everything inside the brackets to the power 2. So they are all owners of a 2. There is 4 to the power 2, x to the power 2, even 5 also is to the power 2. Now, because we are factorizing completely, we have now to expand this. So if you just emulate, if you just follow the format of difference of 2 squares, the expansion here, if you remember, we said the expansion of a minus b squared, this will be equal to, one will have a plus, the other one will have a minus. So a plus b, then the other one will have a minus b. So that is exactly the same way we are going to expand what is in the brackets. Okay, so we'll have 2, then 4x minus 5, then the other one 4x plus 5. It means we are done. This is the answer here. So the only thing that you have to remember is when you see 2 terms and you see a minus, just know that that is a difference of 2 squares. So they can be in fraction form here. You can have a number like, for instance, let me give an example. You can have 1 over 2x squared minus maybe 1 over 50. Okay, it can be in fraction form like this. It's fine. It is still the same thing. So next time we're going to look at how to handle difference of 2 squares now that are in fraction form. For today, just like that. Okay, let us proceed to the second question. The second question now here, if you check, there are 3 terms. So this one doesn't qualify to be different of 2 squares. But still they are asking us to do what? To factorize. Now here when you just see 3 terms and you look at one of the powers, the highest power is a 2. Do you remember the type of factorization? Good. This one is a quadratic factorization. So how do you factorize a quadratic? You find the sum, product, and the factors. Okay, so the product in this case, we multiply the number, the coefficient here, the 2 times the negative 15, we're going to get a negative 30 there. Okay, then the sum is just the coefficient of this x with the lowest degree. Okay, so which is a positive 1 there. So we want two numbers. When we add those two numbers, we get a positive 1. When we multiply those two numbers, we get a negative 30. Can you guess the numbers? Good. So we have a 6 and a negative 5. So these two numbers, if we add them, we are going to get a positive 1. When we multiply them, we are going to get a negative 30. So we are going to insert these two numbers here. We're going to replace this term on the middle with the two factors we found. Okay, so those are our factors there. So let us replace. Remember, we are replacing this term on the middle there. So these two factors will have the x's. So this one will be 6x and this other one will be a negative 5x like this. Okay, so we've written those numbers there. Okay, we can see we have substituted or eliminated the x with the two factors there. So we have 6x minus 5x like that, and minus the 15. Okay, so we proceed. Now here we group them. Okay, so these two here we group them, then the negative 5x and the negative 15, we group it like that. Okay, so since they are in groups now, I cannot add these two, they are not like terms. I cannot add these two, they are not like terms. But we can find what is common here. Okay, so what is common here? If you check for the letter is common, the x. Again, we can find a number that can go into a 2 and a 6 without leaving a remainder, and that number will also be common. The same thing here. Okay, so what number is that? A 2x. So we have 2x in 2. So 2 into 2 here, we're going to have 1. Then we have, if we are multiplying, if we are dividing the indices with the same base, we subtract their powers. So x squared, dividing it by x, we are going to have an x like that. Okay, we are subtracting the powers, 2 minus 1. Okay, then here we are dividing 2 into 6, we are getting a 3. Then this x, dividing it by x, we are going to have a 1. So 3 multiplied by 1, we still have a 3 here. Okay, then what is common here? A negative 5. Good. So we've taken out the negative 5. Negative 5 into negative 5 here, you're going to have positive 1. Multiplying it by x, we're going to have positive x here. Okay, negative 5 dividing into negative 15, we're going to have a positive 3. So if you look at these numbers that are in the brackets, the terms that are in the brackets, they should be the same. It means you have factorized it correctly. If it happens that these terms inside the brackets, they are not the same, just remember that your factorization is not correct. Try to check it out, or your question cannot be factorized. Okay, so now we are going to pick. So this one here will just remove 1. So we are going to group these that are outside together. So we have 2x minus 5, then we have x plus 3. We'll just get one of these. Okay, so this here, we're going to have our final answer to be 2x minus 5. So I'm grouping these that are outside, then I'm getting these that are in brackets, This is our final answer. So that is how you factorize quadratic expressions like that. Okay, then we go to the last one. We have 2a minus 7b minus 2 into a minus 3b. Even start to identify what type of factorization it is. Remember, with algebra, we first of all start by simplifying the brackets. So simplifying simply means removing the brackets. So what is outside the bracket is a negative 2. So we need to multiply this negative 2 with the terms inside the brackets. Okay, so if you multiply negative 2 times a, you're going to have negative 2a. If you multiply negative 2 times negative 3b, you're going to have positive 6b. So your expression will be like this. Now I can now begin to check. How many terms do I have? You have 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you go back to the types of factorization, we said 4 terms. Okay, at least 4 terms. It means grouping factorization. So here we cannot use the difference of 2 squares here. We cannot use this part here, the algebraic factorization, the quadratic factorization, but we can use the grouping because there are more than 3. Okay, so I'm going to group the like terms here. So you can see the 2a is a like term to negative 2a. The negative 7b is a like term to positive 6b. So let us group them together. Okay, so we're going to group them. We're just going to arrange them like this. So we have 2a minus 2a, then negative 7b plus 6b. Remember, they are not crossing an equal sign. We don't have an equal sign here. So their signs will be maintained. We are just arranging them. Okay. So if you are subtracting terms with opposite signs, the answer should be 0. The 2a has got a positive. This 2a has got a negative. So they've got opposite signs but the same terms. Their answer will be a 0. Okay, so this one here is a 0. We'll just forget about it. Okay. Then the other one, we have negative 7b plus 6b. Let me just remind you, we do not add or subtract letters. What we deal with are numbers in front of your letters. So here we have a negative 7, and this side we have a positive 6. So we have negative 7 plus 6. Because the signs are different, I'm going to get the sign for the bigger number. So 7 here has got a negative. I'll keep a negative. Then I'll subtract this smaller number, the 6 from 7. What am I going to have? A 1. Then I'll bring the b now. Now if a coefficient is 1, we don't show it. So our final answer will be a negative b. That's all. Okay. So our final answer will be a negative b, and that is the answer there. Okay. So that is how you handle such lessons. Such questions. So let me just quickly recap what we've done today. We've talked about the types of factorization. We said if you are given 2 terms and those 2 terms there is a minus between them, just know that that is a difference of 2 squares. If you are given 3 terms and the highest power is a 2, just know that that is quadratic factorization. So there you find the product, sum, and the factors. Lastly, we looked at if you are given at least 4 terms. If there are brackets, first of all, simplify the brackets. If there are no brackets, you go straight into grouping the like terms. Okay, so I'll leave you with an exercise so that you try it out. Okay, so that is your task for today. Factorize completely 5x squared minus 5. I'm sure if you just look at this, you are able to remember to say 2 terms with a minus, difference of 2 squared. Okay, factorize this one first of all, remove the brackets. Okay, then the last one, factorize x squared minus 7x minus 8. If you look at this, this is quadratic factorization. Okay, so thank you very much. If you liked this video and you think it helped you and you also wanted to help others, please make sure to share this video. And if you are new to this channel or you've not considered subscribing, make sure you subscribe. Thank you very much. See you next time.